Hi there and welcome to the She Births Show. I am Nadine Richardson, your host and the creator of the scientifically verified childbirth education program, She Births. And today we have with us a very special guest, a She Births mum, Erika Lamour.
Hi.
And she's not just a She Births mum, she is also a infant sleep specialist and the owner of the sleep department. And you can hear more about her amazing sleep tips in another video. But today this isn't a dog show. Unfortunately, the Dachshunds will be with us, but we're going to talk about birth because Erika did our online program, a brand new online program when it launched.
Yes,
I don't think we'd even gone public with it yet.
Yep.
And you had a pretty extraordinary birth, and I just know there's lots of wisdom that you could share with us.
Yes. I had as far as first births go, everyone was telling me, you're going to be over, you're going to have a 40-hour labour.
That's nice of them.
I know. And I had an amazing birth. Still very painful, but it was, no complications. It was quick. He was early. He was small. I mean, not too small, but yeah, he was healthy. So it was an amazing experience.
So good. Well, thank you so much for sharing it with us.
My pleasure.
I suppose the first thing that comes to mind is why did you choose She Births? What were you thinking choosing a She Births course when you've got a partner? And do people think it's just for chicks, or what did you feel when you thought about it?
I chose the She Births course. So as you said, I run an infant sleep business. So I have followers who are 99% of them are mums, and I'm very open with my experiences in regards to getting pregnant and my fears about giving birth. And so I actually, on Instagram, asked the question, what did you do to prepare for birth? I didn't want to go in with a plan because I know that can change, but I knew I needed to be prepared in terms of breathing and how to handle the pain and all things like that. So a lot of people tagged She Births in my post, and that's how I found out about it. And that's ultimately what led me to do the online program.
Amazing. And what did your partner think about it?
He was definitely on board. He knows I have a bit of anxiety, so he was a little bit nervous for me about how I would cope during birth. So he was on board with me knowing the best way to tackle birth and to, make sure that I was going in as, can you use calm as possible in giving birth. So he was happy to do the course, and he was actually really fascinated by, the process of it all, really.
Yeah, it is fascinating. Once you start diving in, you go, oh my God, I didn't know that. And I didn't know that the body works like that, and the hormones and the pelvis and the uterine layers and all of those things.
We are amazing women.
Yeah, we are, right? So how did you guys do the course? Did you do it in bed or in the lounge room?
Everywhere. So we did it in the lounge room to begin with, and we said, we'll do it in a weekend. But, life gets in the way. So we actually did it over a couple of weeks, and my baby was 3 weeks early, so we didn't even finish it all. No, but we got to the part that really helped me, which was the breathing part and really understanding the process of birth. So I worked up until 2 days before I gave birth. So the only time we had to do it was on the weekends and in the evenings in bed.
Yeah, beautiful. And did you chuck out yoga mats on the floor, and did you try and do some of the active birthing and the yoga stuff and stuff like that?
We sure did.
Awesome. So you really jumped in.
Oh yeah.
Good to hear. Good students. We like that. So talk us through, you must have been shocked when labour started early because it is such a rarity.
I actually wasn't. I knew, so I'd gotten really puffy in the day or two before I gave birth, and I just knew he was fully engaged. We knew we were having a boy. I just knew, but I didn't want to say because, a lot of people were saying, it's her first baby, she'll go over, what does she know? So 2 nights before I went into labour, I actually vomited for the first time in my pregnancy.
Wow.
And I knew then that something...
There was you could feel changes happening inside you.
Yeah. So the next night I went into labour, and I just, obviously I knew that what was going on, but I wasn't surprised that I was going early. My midwife had also said, I think you're about ready.
Yeah, you didn't have a vaginal exam or a stretch and sweep or anything like that? Great, you're just trusting yourself.
Yeah.
And what did it feel like? This is often, I think, the hardest thing for women, not knowing what a contraction is going to feel like, or a pre-labour contraction is going to feel like. What did it feel like for you?
So So I mentioned before that I was sick the night before.
Yeah.
So I knew that something was going to happen in the next 24 hours. I just had this gut feeling that it was all going to happen. So we went to bed as normal on the Sunday night, and around midnight I had another little vomit, and
Amazing.
I just thought, this is my body doing something.
Can I ask, did it happen at the other end?
No.
No. Wow.
No. Yeah.
Okay.
Which I know is common.
Yeah.
I've heard that happen to a lot of women, but it didn't happen for me. And so I had that little vomit, went to bed, started getting a few of those period-like pains.
Yep.
Thought to myself...
So like crampy, heavy dragging.
Yep. Hadn't experienced that throughout the pregnancy, especially towards the end there. So I thought, I think something might be happening here, but just kind of went to bed really and just watched some TV on my laptop. And then about an hour later, it was starting to become apparent that something was going on. And because I was 3 weeks out from my due date, I thought, I'm not going to think too much about it. I'll just, try and get some sleep. And then, so from around midnight to 4 o'clock, the contractions really started. My partner started timing them, and they went.
So when was he awake from that time?
He was awake the whole time. Yeah, we actually hadn't gone to sleep.
You hadn't actually got sleep yet. Yeah.
So he was timing it, and it went from 10 to 2 minutes in 4 hours.
10 to 2 minutes, what do you mean?
Sorry, in between contractions. So it started at 10 minutes apart, and then it got to 2 minutes apart, and that was about 4 a.m.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So the body was really efficient. It was just like amping up like that.
It was quick.
That's awesome.
So we stayed home, obviously, for a bit, and I just bounced on the bouncy ball.
Good girl.
And then on the
Fit ball.
Fit ball.
Yeah.
Sorry, not the bouncy ball. I wouldn't have been comfortable. And called the midwife, and she told us to come in. And the ward was actually full, so I was in a waiting room for 3 hours in labour. So
are you serious?
Yes, yep. And I remember
what hospital were we at?
We were at my local hospital, Sutherland Hospital. Yeah. It was amazing.
And so you were going into a delivery suite, not a birth centre, yeah?
Yes, that's right. So I still remember I was in the waiting room. And I was going through, I had made a labour playlist the night before, so that really helped as well. And something in me just told me to do it. So all the songs that help you get through it.
And you had them in your earphones? Or?
No, I just had it playing on my phone.
Yeah.
And actually, it's so this is going back to when we were trying to get pregnant. It took us a year to get pregnant. Yeah. And we decided to stop trying because it was just. It was just not a good time. And then the night we decided to stop trying, I had a dream that I met my baby, and the song Perfect by Ed Sheeran was playing in the dream. Like, it was such a vivid dream. I remember my sister-in-law coming to meet. We had a girl in the dream, but it was the name that we'd picked out for the girl. So that song was on the playlist, and throughout the whole labour, I was not emotional or anything, and then as soon as that song came on, I still haven't been able to listen to it since I gave birth. It's just such it's just got such meaning behind it. Anyway,
I can feel it right now. I can feel the welling.
It makes me a bit teary thinking about it. So I created a playlist, and that really helped me. And I remember there was a lady in the waiting room who was getting a check for some reason. She was probably only about 20 weeks. And we were talking, and all of a sudden my contractions started to get a little bit more intense, and I just felt so bad for her because it was obviously painful, but she was like, I imagine she would have been thinking, oh gosh, this is what I've got ahead. And I just couldn't talk to her from that moment on. I just had to be focused on my breathing and getting through the pain. So
and that's what we're going to talk about, like your strategies, like there's so many tools in the She Births course, and that's so important that you get to pick and choose, and your partner's picking and choosing, and you're always able to apply something to be able to work. But I also just want to point out that there is always like a comedy element to the birth stories.
Oh yeah.
It's just kind of crazy, like 3 hours of waiting, and there's always as well, when we dive into stories, there's always a magical element too, like that beautiful Ed Sheeran. Yeah. It's just like, that's always so special, and I love hearing those things.
And it's something that I'll just remember, that part of it specifically is something that I'll remember And I'm just thinking, wow, our life's about to change, and we've waited, a long enough time for this to happen.
Yeah.
But, now that we've got him, we can't imagine having any other baby, of course. But yeah.
For sure. So things got to amp up. Surely they got you into a delivery suite room.
Yes. So they checked me. So I'd been at the hospital for 2 hours at that point. They checked me and I was 4 centimetres dilated.
Well done, you.
Yep. And they took me into a room, and I was hearing like women scream at this point. So I was like, wow, what am I in for? And my water broke on the way into the delivery suite, and then 5 hours of active labour, and he was here.
Yeah. And so let's talk through the active labour, because like you said, it does amp up, it gets more intense. So what did you find like really worked for you going through riding the waves, really?
Okay, so I have, as I mentioned earlier, I've suffered from anxiety, and I was nervous before I got pregnant how I would first of all deal with pregnancy, knowing how much your body changes and, shortness of breath that happens towards the end and things like that. I was really, really nervous about that. And of course I was nervous about how I was going to handle birth. I was scared that I was going to have a panic attack during birth. I was scared that I wouldn't know how to breathe. I was scared I wouldn't be able to get to the top of my breath and then feel like, that when you feel like you can't get a full breath, then you start to have quick breaths, and I just was really, really nervous about that. So when I got pregnant, my partner and I had made the decision that I needed to really tackle this. So find a way that I could prepare myself, in a sense, be in control of my breathing. Like I said earlier, I didn't want to go in with a plan because I knew that I just needed to do what was right in that moment. So if I went with a plan, I feel like that would have made me a bit more anxious. But I wanted to control my breathing. That's what my focus was.
So it's almost like controlling the breathing, or even focusing on the breath, or elongating it. Just working with the breath like that allows you to work with your body, and it allows you to take control of the mind. That's what we say in yoga. It stops the mind from going into all the worst case scenarios unfolding and compounding.
Just be focused on that.
And be in the present moment, as well as these wonderful kind of responses that happen chemically when we breathe longer and deeper into the bottom of the lungs. We get more oxygen, which means more endorphins, and we minimize the adrenaline and the cortisol.
And I could feel that. I know that having focused on my breathing and basically knowing how to breathe, because you obviously do it so unconsciously every day, that when you're going through something that is really, really painful and you kind of like, what do I do? Do I panic or do I try and go with it? I needed to know how to go with it. So knowing how to breathe was, it made the birth really amazing, and just felt like a superwoman, which I'm sure all women do after birth. But it just felt amazing.
So what were the favourite breathing techs? Because we've got 4 breathing techniques, but what were the ones that worked best for you throughout that you remember? Because we do get a bit of birth amnesia. It is hard to remember.
Yes, I know. So what worked for me is the short...
That one, the soft sleep one?
The soft sleep one, yes. So that was that I did that in between contractions because I was very aware that I needed to rest. And I didn't want to be in a panic state once the contraction was over. I didn't want to be like, oh no, it's coming. I just wanted to close my eyes and just like really rest my body. And then of course the belly breaths, which were the really deep breaths that got me through the contractions. And my partner, I felt like we both needed more than him to just say, it's okay, just breathe, you'll be right. I needed him to be really involved with me and help me through the contractions. So he would count to 10 when I was going through a contraction. And once I was at 5, it was really hard to get to 5, but once I was there, that was the peak, thereabouts, 5 or 6. And then he'd be like, it's okay, the peak's over now, you're on your way down.
Amazing.
So that really, really, really helped.
And so he'd be doing like counting that maybe, 3 or 4 times for the duration of a contraction. And then you just go into like a quiet, silent space. And would he like put his hand on your shoulder, or what did you want, like physically? Because I mean, he was your coach then. He was your like mental coach during contractions, which I just love, because counting works for some people, but not all.
Yeah.
But I'm glad it worked for you. That's great.
Yeah, that was my big thing with him, is that I just needed him to understand what was going on with labour, which he did from us doing the course together, and he was so interested in it. So he definitely tried to help me, you know, with the back pain that I had.
Big hip squeezes and the sacral massages and stuff like that.
And that did help initially.
Yeah.
But there were definitely times when I just wanted him to get off me.
Yeah.
And I had no other way to say it but to say, get the F off me, do not touch me. But then the next one, I'd want him to be like massaging my shoulders or something. So it was very, he didn't really know what to do in regards to like trying to help me physically with my pain, but he just kept on counting my contractions, and that was really something I remember. My mum was also in the room.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, she filmed the birth.
No way.
Yeah, so I haven't been able to watch it yet, but yeah, so I had both of them and my amazing midwife that I had throughout my whole pregnancy.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And I just want to make a little special note to the dads out there that, we never take anything personal that a woman says in labour. It sometimes you have to swear, and sometimes, you know, when your partner comes to touch you, you just got to go, no.
Yes.
But like you say, like, Ian, quick, help. Yeah. And so it's such a reliance on being adaptable, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
And humble. Like there's no room for ego in the room.
No.
For anyone at all.
No.
During labour, is there?
Yeah. And I kind of apologised to everyone before. I'm like, oh, sorry if I do this, and after, because I did swear a lot. That's cool. Oh, yes.
Yeah. Yeah. I think if I was going through it again, I'd probably swear a bit. Swearing actually helps a little bit in pain relief.
Yep.
But if you're like a continual swearer in life, I think, and then utilise swearing, it doesn't work as well. But if you don't use it that much and then like chuck it in during labour. It helped. Yay. That's whatever works. Yeah, whatever
using
gets
my
us
voice
through.
Almost to get that adrenaline out was something, especially towards the end, that worked for me. Like I felt like I was in such a zone that I couldn't veer too much from what I was doing. Yeah. So there was a time when I was in the waiting room where I got up into the hallway and just stood and leaned on the wall, but I needed to go back to what I know was working. Yeah.
What physical positions did you like to be in, do you think? I mean, obviously you're on the ball at home.
Pretty much just on the ball.
On the ball? Yeah. And would you just like lean forward during contraction? Amazing, to get that pressure and help the pelvis open.
Yeah. And then when I got in the bed, I was on my side.
Beautiful.
And that's
left lateral. The old left lateral.
Yeah.
Did someone hold your right knee up or something like that?
I think so.
Yeah.
I can't
know,
really
that's
remember,
good to hear that.
but I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure.
Must have been two midwives in the room.
No, there was only one.
Just the one.
I just remember my midwife. I'm sure people were coming and going, but I can't remember. It's amazing how you just...
Well, you're so focused, right? Like you're on your breath and you're on your body and then you're on your baby, and it's like you're just there.
Yeah.
So it's great. It's a great sign, I think, when people do forget the peripheral things going on, because it indicates that you were actually surrendered to the work and doing it, letting it happen.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so labour progress, contractions, partner in and out, you're counting, breathing, all amazing strategies. What did you do to get through transition, the heartbreak hill, that 8 to 10 centimetre mark when you're really hitting that?
Well, I had actually never heard of transition until I did
She Births.
Yes.
Wow.
I didn't even. I mean, I knew that it would probably get worse as you progress, but I didn't actually know what it was. So being prepared for it, although it is a really hard thing to go through, you know that the pain's going to get worse. Yeah. But I don't think you can ever really prepare yourself for how hard it is. And I do remember in the She Births course, you mentioned that it's the time where you don't think you can go through it. And I had those exact words. I'm like, I can't do it. I can't do it. When you obviously know that you have to, but there is a point where you just think, I actually need to transport myself out of my body and look down. And my midwife and my mum were both just very straight to the point. They were like, well, you're doing it and you have no choice.
That's exactly right. And that's sometimes the best thing, excuse me, as a doula, we just say, you're doing it not much longer now.
Yeah.
Like, you are doing perfectly.
Yeah.
You're nearly there.
And sometimes you just need that kind of dose of reality to be like, well, yeah,
you're close.
Yeah, I'm close. This is it. I'm right at the end.
But tell me why you had your mum in the room. Like, so few mums are actually conducive to the birthing environment.
Yeah. Well,
and I normally say your mum must do She Births if she's going to be in the room. Like, let's give her the app and like, let's let her watch some births because things have changed so much, you know.
100%. Well, like I said earlier, I have had anxiety for a while, and my mum is like my rock. She's like she's very straight to the point. She's a nurse. She's been a nurse for 30 plus years. So I just felt like she tells me straight how it is. She's very nurturing, but she tells me straight. So I know that if she says it's okay, then it's okay.
Yeah, great.
If she says that...
And she's seen women give birth. What were you saying?
Oh, yeah. So she works for Doctors Without Borders. So she's been all around the world in, you know, horrible medical situations. And she's seen women give birth in much less than what we have. You know, we were... had our own room in a nice hospital with a great midwife.
Sterile environment.
Yeah. There was actually a point, I remember this so clearly, there was a point where something was going on. I can't remember exactly what, and I looked at my mum and her face was like this. I'm like, Mum, what is that face? What's going on?
Yeah.
And nothing ended up being wrong, but because she's, you know, worked in hospital, she does things her way. And I just remember like being a little bit nervous because her face gives everything away. Ended up being okay. Nothing was wrong. I was just...
But that's so interesting. So we were talking about that, like you get lost inside, but at the same time, I think people don't realise until they're in labour how incredibly sensitive you are to other people's faces.
Yes.
And also you can feel people's energy in the room.
Yeah.
Like the field of support around you is so, so important. Like having people around you that believe that birth is normal, that totally trust in it, that trust and feel confident in your ability. And so I've heard mums say that, like, I looked at my partner and he was sleeking out like this and it made me so anxious. And then I looked at my doula and she's like, it's great. And she's like, relax again. So it's a great thing. So she was just probably looking at some of the procedures that were happening, thinking, what are they doing? I'd do it differently.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know exactly. But so she was in the room and it was amazing. So she ended up filming the whole thing, which I didn't know she was going to do, but I'm so glad that she's done it.
Never going to regret that.
Yeah. So I'm not ready to watch it just yet, but I'm so happy that that my partner Ryan and I have like meeting our son Jay for the first time, because that was such an amazing part of the experience. Like I can't actually even really remember it, but I do vaguely remember looking over at Ryan and seeing him just like say, oh my God, and cry. Or I can't remember exactly, but to have that captured is amazing. I'm so happy that we do. Yeah.
It's totally priceless. So you got through transition. Do you know how long it was? Who knows?
I honestly...
You'd have to ask Ryan or Mum.
No idea.
No idea.
No idea.
It was probably like 8 minutes.
Yeah,
but
it probably
felt like 80.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So the active part of my labour was 5 hours in total.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
the transition wouldn't have been very long at all.
Yeah.
But very intense.
Yes, very intense.
And then do you remember feeling an urge to push, like come on naturally? Did you have any vaginal exams throughout?
Probably. I can't remember.
No, you would know. You would know that. Yeah. No, that's cool. No, I don't think you don't need to. I'm just wondering. For other mums, they're probably wondering that. So that I felt the need to push, and I didn't know, the feeling felt so bizarre. Like I thought, should I be pushing? I don't know. You always hear stories about women they get told to just wait a little bit. Yes. That's right. We don't trust that urge to push. That's so true, because we hear that story. That's right.
So I didn't even really know if that was what I was feeling. It's so strange. Like looking back on it now, of course, that's what I was feeling.
Yeah.
And I just remember saying, I need a push. And they said, yep, go ahead. And I thought, he's coming out right now. Like I'm doing this. Like he's early. He wants to make an entrance, but I also need to just get this done. Yeah. So it was only 2 pushes in 7 minutes.
2 pushes in 7 minutes. Yeah, because they get some, not for everyone, but for a lot of people, it sort of spaces out. You get these big long contractions for pushing and then a big break, sometimes a 5-minute sleep in between.
And I actually do remember that there was a break, because I remember thinking his head was out. And I'm like, well, where is he? Is he meant to be crying? And I'm like, no, not yet. And then they said you just have to wait for the next contraction and then
Wow.
push him out. So yeah,
I love your midwives.
She was amazing.
Midwife or midwives,
Yeah.
however many were there.
It was
But
amazing.
she sounds like an amazing one.
She was. Yeah, I was
Really
very upset
trusting
when,
birth and really supportive.
Yeah.
the when you don't see your midwife anymore, like they do the checks afterwards. Oh God, it was such a sad day.
Yeah.
But she was amazing. I couldn't have asked for a better one.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So you remember doing 2 big pushes in
Yep.
7 minutes? Did you look down? Did you touch his head as he came through?
No.
You were just like
I was
fully
just,
in.
yeah, absolutely so focused.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so when the head came out,
Yep, she said, oh, he's a little blondie.
it's a blondie.
So, yeah, so everything just felt like, okay, he's here.
Yeah.
Let's just get this last push done
Yeah.
and let's meet our baby.
And you were thinking about having a water birth, but what happened with that? for
Well,
you?
I was open to getting in the bath or having a shower because I'd heard that that water can definitely help the pain. But it didn't even cross my mind in labour.
Yeah.
I was so focused. I'm like, this is where I'm staying. I'm not I had a TENS machine, forgot I had it.
Yeah.
I don't even think we had we left a suitcase in the car. I think Ryan had to go and get it halfway through labour or something.
Yeah.
So we weren't, I was just so focused on the breathing and what we'd learnt in the She Births program that I didn't want to veer from that.
Yeah. And so any tearing?
2nd degree.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And midwife did a bit of suturing.
Mm-hmm.
All good.
Yes, that was, everyone said, oh, that's the easiest part.
Did you have gas
No.
for that? No.
I did have the whatever they give you to,
Bit of local.
Yeah.
Yeah.
but I found that to be really uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I'm not very good with
Yeah.
things like that. So yeah, that part was hard, but I had my baby in my arms, so I was just looking at him and trying to not focus on what they were doing. But it took, I thought it was going to be quick. I said, oh, how long is it?
No,
So I could
to
get
do it
myself
well, it takes
20
time.
minutes. Oh
Yeah.
my God, how am I going to sit through this?
Yeah.
But we got through it, and that was 2nd degree tear and pretty amazing birth. I felt like I had a bit of PTSD for a couple of days after, but now after 5 months has gone by, and it was just, I feel so lucky to have had such an amazing experience. Easy, as far as first births go, like I said before, it was a really great, quick birth.
And
Small baby.
I suppose that's the thing. Like, you feel still, even with a great birth, we can still come out feeling really quite shocked by the intensity of birth. But, for all the women out there to understand, like, it's not really a trauma.
No.
And it's going to change how you perceive your birth. It's going to take time to kind of digest your birth. And it can be trauma. There's absolutely no doubt for some women, but it's sort of in perception. So we can be sort of like, I just remember feeling quite shocked and overwhelmed and very humbled by birth. And that definitely took a few weeks to kind of process. And then I felt, proud of what I'd done as well and how far I'd gone. And
Oh yeah, I felt like almost empowered
yeah,
pretty much straight away.
that's awesome.
I
That's
can't-
because you had the hormones, girl. You were and you'd done it. You got that kick. Right?
And it's I just kept thinking, how do women do this every day and it's just considered so normal? Like how do we not get the ground we walk on should be praised and our partner should never ever start a fight with us. It should just be like, you praise the ground I walk on, look what my body did.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
It's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
I agree.
I reckon it was just...
I just couldn't believe, I still struggle with how normal it is but how much our body goes through.
Yeah.
Like it happens every day.
Yeah, it's like ordinary but extraordinary.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. It's a natural event, but it's like supernatural.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
And I actually remember in my birth, I had to normalize it.
Yeah.
So that I could that helped me get through it as well. So I thought of Pippa Middleton and Kate Middleton.
Yes. How does a princess give birth?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And Pippa Middleton had given birth like 2 weeks before me. I thought if she can do it, then I can do it.
That's so cool. That's so good because we say that in the visualizations in the 4th one in the full birth rehearsal. It's like remembering all of the women that have ever inspired you.
Yeah.
And that's great. If you can lock in and connect with one, it's like,
Yeah.
if she can do it, I can do it. If she
And
can do it, I can do
seeing
it.
a girlfriend's...
Grandmother the day before I gave birth, and she said, this is what our bodies are made to do this, and that really helped me get through it as well. Like so many, millions of women have done it. Yeah, I can do it.
Amazing. Okay, so I took a tangent and went off on a bit of an angle there, but tell us about your moment of meeting Jay. So he came down in 2 pushes.
Yeah.
What did they pass him up to you?
Yes.
Did you put your hands down? What
So
happened?
no, they passed him up to me. I just remember saying, "That's my baby, my baby." I just remember saying that. And like I said earlier, I remember looking at Ryan, my partner, and just seeing his reaction, and that was amazing. And it was just, you just can't stop staring at them. It was amazing. It was amazing. And it's just gotten better. I knew I wasn't going to be one of those mums that had this overwhelming burst of like, oh my God, it's my baby. I knew that I was going to have to get to know him.
Yeah.
And that's
going to be a process.
Yes. I just knew that was going to be how it went. So of course meeting him was incredible, but it's just gotten better, especially now that he's so engaging and interactive with us. It's just the best thing ever. Getting to know his little personality. Yeah, it's been amazing.
But I think it is like, for a lot of us, it is a gradual getting to know.
Yeah.
And as you get to know your baby and know yourself as a mother, you fall in love with them more and more.
Yeah, and there's I remember a girlfriend was talking to me and she said, what if I don't have this like overwhelming feeling of love that everyone talks about? And I didn't have that. Of course I loved him and I was so excited he was here, but I wanted to like let her know that it's okay if that doesn't happen. Of course you love your baby, but sometimes it can just, your body's been through so much and then all of a sudden you've got this baby.
That's exactly right.
So that is how it worked. That's how it happened for me. And like I said, over time it's gotten just amazing. So incredible.
It's true. I remember a few births ago I was attending a birth and it was a long second stage, and so even meeting her baby, she was so happy to meet her baby, but it did take actually 10-20 minutes for her to come around and really connect with her baby, because she was still catching up and processing what had taken place and the intensity of that.
And I think that because so many people talk about how it is just this, you've never loved something so much, and so when you don't have that feeling as intense as everyone portrays it to be, you feel guilty for it. So I've been really open in that's how I felt, so that like people who do go through it don't feel bad about it, because of course you love your child, of course, but if you don't have that overwhelming love straight away, that's also really normal, because it's this massive change, massive shift in your life that everyone has to adjust to.
That's true. Exactly. So what would you say to other mums and partners out there about like giving birth, or what words of wisdom do you want to pass on to others?
So of course the prospect of giving birth, I think it sparks some type of feeling in everyone. You know that you're going to go through the most intense pain of your life, and my best advice is that be prepared. So I always said that I didn't go in with a plan, but I was prepared. I felt in control of my breath the whole time, and I really think that that is why I had such an amazing labour, like a quick labour as well, because I knew how to breathe. And it sounds so simple, but there's so much that goes into even just the resting period between contractions. So my best advice is to make sure that you focus on your breathing and really prepare in that sense, so that you can feel like you've got some type of control of the situation. Of course, many things can happen, but if you know how to breathe and you're calm during it like I was, then it just makes it really as pleasant as an experience as possible.
So good. Thank you so much for
My
sharing.
pleasure. No worries.
Thanks for joining us, and thank you to the beautiful Erika from the sleep department for sharing her birth story with us today. And make sure that you subscribe to the She Births show, and we'll see you real soon.